All right, we are live. All right, everyone. Hope you all had a nice lunch. Shortly after 1 p.m. on Tuesday, January 27th. We're starting this week's committee work with a committee discussion on S23, an act relating to the use of synthetic media in elections. So we have a side-by-side that was provided by council on our committee page. And so we are going to go over the changes that were sent to us by our colleagues in the Senate, suspended action on it today on the floor. So we would have this time this afternoon to have a more granular understanding of what these changes were. We did touch on it last week, but this is the real deep dive. Everybody's seeing the bids. Council.
Yes.
Oh. Shocker.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. If you'd like to do this now.
Sure.
We're going to open with a question. Representative Hingo.
All right.
Forgive me for asking this question, but the Senate changes don't really talk about in the first section, 2031 definitions, don't appear to talk about elections specifically. It talks about a political candidate, but in the Senate, in the House version, we were very specific. It was in elections. And the Senate version doesn't appear to reference that. Am I just reading too much into this?
So for the record, Rick Sagel with the Office of Legislative Counsel. And maybe my color coding, just so you all know the way I do it. Not sure if Tucker and Tim do it the same way, but yellow indicates the word has changed. A similar word exists in the Senate version, but it's a different word. Green means it's new language that the Senate added, and red means language in the House version that was removed by the Senate. So, Red Pango, what I think is my short answer. Long answer is it still must be an ad that either injures the reputation of a political candidate or attempts to unduly influence the outcome of an election. So there still has to be some connection to either a candidate or to an election. But so I think what you see here is that it can be any individual, not just a political candidate that causes this misrepresentation.
Thank you. That's where my confusion was, because it does reference election in letter B. But
Right.
number 2 was confusing me. So that's what they've changed. Thank you.
Yeah, it is, like I said last time, it is a significant change going from a political candidate to an individual. I talked about that last time. I'm happy to expand on that again, but and just to kind of tie things up, those items that I went through, was it last week or 2 weeks ago? I can't remember. Was it last week? Okay.
Mhm.
Those items were officially adopted by the Senate. There was a floor amendment by the pro tem on the right side. If you see the House definition of 2032, not definition, the actual disclosure that the ad must contain, the House version said, it's at the bottom of that first paragraph, this media has been created or intentionally manipulated by digital technology or artificial intelligence. So there were some floor conversations about that being confusing. It ended up getting removed. So the disclosure now is that same sentence without the 2 words created or. So it's this media has been intentionally manipulated by digital technology or artificial intelligence. That was a surprise to me, so I wasn't ready to talk about it last time.
I mean, just a kind of riff here. I personally see the merit of having the created or included in the language, but
my memory, this was during the recess of the Senate, so it's not recorded, but my understanding was that they kind of a language confusion issue, that the idea was that would this mean that this could be the media was just created not manipulated, just created by digital technology or AI. So I think in his mind, it was to alleviate some confusion about how the synthetic media was created or not created, that it was just manipulated. I think, again, the phrase created or was creating a problem for some people.
That's really confusing. It seems to me like there's a misunderstanding of what AI is, period. Because AI,
Yeah,
Creates
expand on your thought, please. Yes.
AI can create, it can also manipulate, and both are not good things if they're influencing elections and breaking down our democracy. So to me, I think it just needs to be like an educational moment of what AI is and what it is capable of doing. And one of the major things it does is it creates things. Salem agrees. Sorry.
Mhm.
The peanut from the gallery. Red point.
Because I could go into a platform and say, make an image of Taylor Swift saying, endorsing Representative Boydin for the X campaign. Or I could upload a photo of Representative Stone and I and say, rest at the beach. Or whatever. I don't need to be using examples, but that is creating and manipulating.
It's going to be harmful.
Rep Nugent?
I think as far as I know, though, the distinction is an individual person is still directing the AI to create something. Like AI isn't doing things on its own yet. That's the distinction that I'm familiar with.
Or is that?
So are you saying that this media has been created or intentionally manipulated by digital technology? Then it would be like a grammar thing or a usage thing, and you'd say, this media has been created using, created or intentionally manipulated using digital technology or artificial intelligence instead of by.
Yeah.
Because
that's the
by
distinction.
implies that it was the digital technology that did it?
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
As opposed to the human
Yes.
engaging in the directive.
Yeah. I don't like any of this.
See, it seems to be a consistent
Yes.
vibe. Rep Coffin.
Yeah, because I'm looking in the definitions, okay, up in section 2. Okay, they changed individual's appearance, speech, or conduct that's been created or intentionally manipulated with the use of digital technology. So that definition of synthetic media, why would we leave that created out of where they have to put that statement in? If the actual definition that we've agreed on says created or intentionally manipulated, why would it confuse anybody to use that definition in there
Good point.
and strike the word created or? It makes no sense. If that's the definition, that should be there to make sure, if it's clear in the definition, it can't be confusion there. That's my argument on that.
Point taken, sir. Council.
Yeah, and I think if you're gonna propose another amendment, which it's your call, right? There was something on the Senate floor as well that I think Senator Perchlik brought up, that why doesn't the disclosure also state that it's synthetic media, fraudulent media, deceptive media? It's just saying that this has been manipulated. That's a good point. The disclosure doesn't even say that it's deceptive and fraudulent, or that it's anything else that we've kind of used as a definition here. I'll say the only thing about the definition is it does say manipulated with the use of digital technology, including AI. I think we just need to kind of shore up these, if we're going to make an amendment here, let's line things up. Let's pick a path and then match our definitions and our disclosure to actually line up together and there's no confusion. That would make some sense. And I don't believe any chamber touched the disclosure. I'm trying to remember. I think it's been that way since it was introduced, that exact language. So.
Okay. Hold on, I'm just going in the text itself. Any questions for council while I'm thumbing through the text itself? Rep. Pittsnall.
I'm just curious as to why they felt it was important to add including a public question by providing, oh wait, that's not what I was questioning. Oh, I've lost it. About and inclusive to the greatest extent possible of individuals with disabilities. Why wouldn't it be to the greatest extent possible for all individuals?
Would you like to respond to that?
I was just gonna answer in case council couldn't speak to the why of it, because I was there and sitting there when they came up with it, which is that it was taking into account that if it were just printed and someone who was vision impaired was listening to it, but they couldn't see the disclosure, that it was important to include, I believe at one point it said audio and visual, but then there were some wonderings about other things. So I think what they settled on was inclusive to the greatest extent possible to reach all people who might not be able to receive that message either through seeing or hearing or whatever means.
Got it.
Yeah.
Kate?
Yep.
Sorry, Rep. Nugent?
Yeah, not to be annoying about this, but if we don't align the disclosure language with if it sounds like the AI created it, then it will be hard to enforce. I think if someone could say, well, the AI didn't create it, I created it. That makes sense. I should back up. So like if AI did not, AI can't make ads by itself without a human telling it to do it. So if it's correct up in the definition, but it's not in the disclosure. So that would be.
You know that to be true.
Person.
No, I mean, no, not at this
Then I'll
point.
kick,
Thank you.
then I will kick to Rep. Stone next.
Guess we're just like putting commentary.
Totally, this is like open discussion.
I'm really confused when we took so much testimony on the importance of whittling down the language so that it would be more defendable if there was litigation, for it to be specific to political candidates' elections. And now it looks like the Senate has expanded it, which is the opposite of what we heard, like was recommended in our testimony to be, I'm seeing a lot of individuals appearance instead of political candidates appearance. And I'm just concerned and also curious because we specifically narrowed the language. Purpose. It's like they are really opening the gate. I don't know why,
Broad, yes.
because that's the opposite of what we heard is like the recommendation. They're not here, but I'm just throwing that out.
Brings it back to what Lisa said.
Yep. I don't
Rep.
like.
Hooper, Randolph, you seem like you have something to say.
Should we bring it back to the way we like it? I feel like that's what we should do. Is that what you should do?
I got Rep. Waters Evans, then. Wait.
What did you say? Should we go back to the language that we had
Well,
before?
if I remember correctly, you were sort of like, we don't have time to do this, so let's just send them what we've got and they can work on it and we'll take it back. I remember that narrowing, but I also just remember us giving this the attention that we maybe should have, or would have wanted to. Figure this would be time to do that. So
Yeah.
If they made the bill worse, let's make it better again.
Well, this is what I have to say about that, to respond to that. I had sort of forgotten everything that we went through, to the point where I forgot that I had made an amendment on this bill that we presented. And I think our final vote, I'm looking right now, was it 830 or 80?
803.
It was 803.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was good. When it left here, we were in a good spot. We were like, we're protecting freedom of speech. We don't want to, inhibit anyone's right to say what they want or to do satire or parody, but we also don't want people to be fooled by this. And we, had all those fun discussions about it, and we reached a good spot and we sent it back. And then I was in Senate GovOps for 2 hours a couple weeks ago, just listening, kind of participating. It was long. Talking and listening to what they had to say. And I don't want to tell tales out of school, but what I did hear people say a couple of times during their discussion was, what I wanted to do is ban it in the first place, but we can't do that. What I wanted to do is ban it, and we don't want to ban it, right? Like, that's the last thing we want to do. And I feel like they were trying to and this is my personal feeling about it. We can all go back and watch it, but I feel like they were trying to open it up a little bit more intentionally because they didn't like how strict we had made it. Because really at heart, they wanted to get rid of it altogether, which we can't. I shouldn't say we can't ban things. My personal belief is that I don't like banning things.
I wish we could ban AI, just.
Sure.
But that'd be a different bill.
Yeah.
Yes, and what we are trying to do in this, under our specific jurisdiction and with this specific piece of legislation, is address, the infamous Joe Biden robocall in New Hampshire where he said, don't go vote. And they made it sound like his voice.
Sure.
And it could really affect people. In that way. I think the other thing that bothers me a little bit about what they sent us back over from the Senate was they removed the part about that I believe we had added in about if you give consent to your image being used, then it's okay, because they were saying, what if I made a video of Shea Waters Evans saving a kitten from a tree and then teaching it how to play the violin, and that's not true. And then it would be positive and it would have my consent, but it would also be misleading the voters. But also, would it be unduly affecting an election? Probably not. Unless you were a kitten / violin fan. You know what I mean?
Unduly impacting people's perception of reality.
Right? But that brings us back to the question, which is, in a way, I think all campaign materials in some way they are trying to influence the outcome of election. It's that word unduly, which means something different entirely. I believe Rick can tell us exactly what unduly means. I don't want to speak for it, but you know what I mean? It's that difference. I don't know. For me, that's a huge difference that I think that we need to, I don't know. I don't want to give it up.
So I had a Boyden, a Hango, but a council that looked like.
I know.
Interject. So
I kept going.
I'm
I was
gonna
gonna say
defer.
one thing and then I just.
I'm gonna
went for
defer
it.
to council back up.
Okay.
So you did add the consent piece, this House committee did. So unduly is something you also added. And it's really like a substantive thing, right? Like the Biden robocall, like lying to people about the day. That's pretty substantive. I said in the Senate committee, if he lied about the weather on a day, is that substantive? Probably not. Lying about the color of his suit, like probably not. But lying about the place of election, time of an election, requirements to vote, eligibility to vote, those are pretty substantive things that, may influence someone, whether they're actually going to vote or not. See, it's not like there's not a specific definition, but it's going to be up to a court to determine, do we think this specific AI ad was unduly influencing to people voting? Hope that helps.
One thing I do appreciate about the Senate's proposal is the inclusivity language for the disclosure. I think it's really important that all people, no matter what, are able to know what the media may be fraudulent or deceptive.
I think I'm good. Thank you.
Cooper Randolph.
I'm thinking this question is for Shay, Representative Waters Evans, but anybody, why can't we ban AI? Because the First Amendment protects people's right to spew bullshit.
Well, I don't believe that's how it's written in the
It's
Constitution
not how I
exactly.
wrote it.
I don't think the word spew appears in there anywhere, but I do think that there is an argument to be made. Rick could probably knows more about this than I do, but the argument to be made, and which is the one that we were having this debate, is we don't want to restrict anyone's free speech.
Right.
If you want to be mad at Shea Waters Evans and make a video and manipulate my kids in the video to say we have the worst mom in the whole world, that is kind of your right? Like you've already established like long ago satire and you know, political opinions and all of these things and parody and all of that stuff it's allowed and encouraged, and it's part of being a society that permits constitutionally, it gives us the right to those things.
Sure.
And I think that's why we can't ban it.
Rep. Hango.
So building on that, I'm thinking that your example was not harming a large group of people, like voters are a large group of people. And this bill is specifically honed in on giving large groups of people that are making decisions false information. Does that help at all? Your idea of banning would be a different bill. Yeah.
Yeah, it says a much narrower legislative intent.
Yeah.
Okay. So from reading from the table is we're finding the language to be something we're not willing to concur with. Rep. Waters.
I do like their addition of the language about making it inclusive for
Yes, yes,
folks
yes.
with disabilities. That's something
That's
that
good.
I think
Yeah.
we should keep.
But the totality,
The
we're at this point,
broadening.
we're
All
at
the
this,
rest of it, no, thank you.
we're at
Yeah.
this point though, we're like, you have the ability to amend the bill one more time and send it over. I'm gonna put a but on this. But one of the intents of trying to move it last year was to get something in front of the Secretary of State's office so we could have something in place for this election cycle. So with amending it, sending it back over, that's gonna be a little bit of a calendar absorbing moment. So we could also recommend a committee of conference.
Let's go.
And that would move this process along a bit more briskly, I think, if we did that format. Rep. Hango.
My only fear is that it will come to a stalemate and it won't go anywhere at all. And that, I'm just throwing that out there in a committee of conference.
Very much, but as I kind of workshop this thought, and I didn't do it on my own, in consultation with the speaker. That letting it one more time and sending it over was probably gonna end up landing in a conference anyway. So we might as well just do that part now. Rep. White.
And rather than like siloing our conversations again, like we're having one conversation here, if we were to send it back over to them, they're gonna have their own conversation in the room. We can sit down at a table and talk to each other.
Correct. Yes, Rep. Piston.
And they may be more willing to hear our side of it versus seeing it on paper. If we can explain what we're trying to accomplish.
Yes.
They might be able to see it.
Small group, more of an arbitration format,
Yeah.
yes. Rep. Waters.
In a committee of conference, you cannot amend. Or can you add language? Can you explain to me what exactly the rules are? I just want to be clear about it. Can you?
So I'm gonna double check, but because it was an instance of amendment,
Yeah,
I think all you can amend is that portion of it, which is kind of what you're having concerns about.
okay,
However,
Yeah.
could you touch, and you actually could just touch the disclosure language because it was also amended. So if you want to change the disclosure language to something totally different, or put back created or, you can do that as well. So that you're either limited to that. I'm pretty sure you are. I will confirm and get with the chair on what you all can amend in the conference.
But the pieces that we seem to be, the sections that we seem to be in disagreement or stuck on the minutia are the ones that would be for the conversation in a committee conference structure. And the process for that is for us to straw poll as a committee, a conference recommendation. I love the enthusiasm. But so I personally am leaning towards the committee of conference. So I guess we're at straw poll. All those in favor of recommending a committee of conference, please show a thumb.
Who's gonna be on it?
That is determined by the speaker.
I know.
All right, that is an 11-0 to conference.
How are you?
That takes care of that order of business.
Thank God we're not done with S 23.
You know,
Oh, is that one I like?
this one's been a journey.
This one.
But you know, better to rush it through.
I get the.
That's right.
Cool.
I was thinking of you,
Just hang it out,
Vince,
right?
when you
Whichever
said
you wanna weigh in on.
you didn't like sending things through that weren't done and ready to go.
Do you still want to?
That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking of you, when I
Let's
was.
go off.
Tired of hearing like, oh, this is.
We'll
good, but not
restart
good
with our
enough.
next order of
Let's
business.
just get going. No, let's
Yeah.
Oh.
do it right.